Hi, this is Kim Watson. Over the last year or two, I've been working and looking at the best brokers that we can see for our clients, and we can recommend. We've got a website called Best Brokers Online. I'll give you the website at the bottom of this video. But in doing so, I've come across a lot of questions, and I get asked a lot of questions about broker scams. What's this broker up to? It looks a bit dodgy. Now, some of these things are genuine scams in my book. They do it regularly, and their practice looks to me wrong. Other things are just that people's knowledge isn't that wide in terms of the broker they're using, or what actually happens at certain times of day. So on this video, I'm just going to maybe cover some of those. If you've got other things, if your broker is, if you're really concerned about your broker, just let me know. You can email me directly at kim@ezeetrader.com. You can put the messages at the bottom of this video. I would like to know those brokers that are, in your opinion, not doing you any favors, because it keeps them off our list. Our Best Brokers online site has about 5 or 6 brokers. We've just got an Australian one coming on soon now for our Australian clients, but it's quite limited. Now I could put brokers to leave alone. I don't really want to get into that world in terms of on our site, but certainly when people ask us, and if I hear a lot of things about any of the brokers that were, say, listed on our site, and actually people are having really bad experiences, I'd want to know. I'd be speaking to the broker. I know the brokers well. I'd be speaking to them and saying, what is this? Why is this keep happening? Yeah, either change it or lose us as a recommender. So do let me know. So let's have a look through regular comments. Now, Charlie hit on this in the week about brokers go and catch your stops. And chase your stops only for the market to get a reverse, and it's a scam that you should use stops, etc. Now, as he quite rightly pointed out, that's complete nonsense, and you should always use stops, unless you're hedging, but you should be using stops. Now, one thing that a lot of people probably didn't know is that some brokers actually make their positions widely available for people to look at. Now, this is a huge American broker that is so big that I've actually used their API with some. I put some pivots on it so I can look at it and get my eye in during the day, and I can see where their traders are putting their orders. Now, in basic terms, a market basically works on demand coming up this way, pushes price up, and then you've got supply which pushes price down. So too much supply, it pushes it over, too much demand, or more demand than supply, and it pushes it up. So that's the basic principle. So you would expect blue net, I say blue, but blue here shows net buy orders. Red shows net sell orders. But the keen of eye of you will have noticed there's some blue orders there's some net blue orders sitting above price levels here. In fact, they were back here as well. I apologize, this is quite a small looking chart. I should have blown it up a little bit more. But you can see, you can make it out, there's blue orders, and it's really the point behind it. Your broker, and some brokers out there, will publish this information. If your broker doesn't actually publish the information as it is like this, as a lot of brokers won't publish it like this. However, if they've got a lot of orders around a certain level, they may put that order out onto the wider market, onto the interbank market, or with the whoever is supplying the liquidity to their company. So the liquidity providers will see those orders. So those orders are out there. Now, I could see these orders, so what's stopping other people not seeing these orders? People see these orders, so visible. I can chase. I know if I'm looking and if there was a clump of blue orders, I could assume, and I say this carefully, that if the price starts pushing up to there, it could continue through. Now, I say could. Sometimes, of course, these are the orders that are showing on the interbank market. It may be slightly different, and there may be certainly a lot of supply at some point, and traders may think, just the point I want to get out here, and they've not put their exits in there. They've only put their, as I say, stops in there, and all of a sudden they sell in, and the market doesn't get up to the levels you think. However, they're visible out on the wide market, so it's not necessarily your broker, certainly unlikely to be your broker, but they may do other things which we'll discuss as we run through here. But for the most important thing here is they're visible out there on the markets for a lot of people to see. Right, that's your stops. Talking of stops, my stop got hit early, price never got there. Now, this is a market. This is the Euro New Zealand dollar on a broker I don't use. Well, actually, I keep a small account with them because their pivots are fantastic on their charts, and that's it. So I've got a very tight little account there, which I trade once or twice a month to keep it free. But you see this with them quite a bit. What I've got here is a bid and ask. And remember, there's your bid, there's your ask. Your ask is always higher. Now, this is a great exaggeration because it's a Euro New Zealand dollar. It has a wide spread, it's volatile. But it shows what I want you to show. Want it to show. If you're putting a stop up here, because you're short, it's a buy stop, so you're buying. Now you can see the price has never got up to these levels up here on the bid. Your charts are showing in bid. Now you can change your charts on some brokerages. You may be able to change it to show the ask, so it'll only show the absolute highs there. But then you've got the same problem the other way around. But either way, if you're looking at here, you've got to look at that high price there. For example, when the price was up there, the actual buy price, the bid, sorry, the ask was up here. So if the bid is here, your ask is always going to be that distance away. The red line here is the ask, and there's your bid. So bid and ask price is sitting there. So markets, charts, all done on bid. So the ask is wider. This is, as I say, it's a lovely exaggerated market. Some markets are wider than this, though. Don't worry. At certain times, which I'll come on to in a moment. And it's another reason why you find yourself sometimes stopped out, and yet, hang on a minute, my chart's not showing me that. Now, with a 2 pip spread, it's not going to be quite so much. A 1 pip spread, and this is where some brokers where you've got either fixed spreads, such as core spreads, which is on our listings. As I said, I'll put the link on there. You're getting a fixed spread, so it's not widening all of the time. I'll come on to that. Or you've got a very low spread with a commission fee on there. Again, I think Charlie's covered videos of this in the past in terms of fixed or spread or variable, commission accounts, whichever way he was looking at it at the time. I seem to remember that one a long time ago. Either way, if you've got a commission-based account and very low fixed or variable spreads, you're going to have a lot less of this, and you're just going to stay in sometimes. So they're just that slight bit better for some people. Other people just, well, core spreads, as I said, they're fixed, so you know what they are all of the time, and it includes the cost. Depends on which way you want to go there. But be aware that bid price, so your charts are on bid price normally. You can, as I say, you can switch them around to being on ask if you wish. You can also, on some brokers, although actually I think it's on Saxo is the only one that's listed on our site, actually suggest that you want to be closing on the bid and not the ask. So the price has to go way past that line for you to be closed out of the trade, because you're effectively getting your stop on the, as I say, on the bid and not the ask. So that's how you can change things around a little bit there, either looking yourself, bearing in mind making sure you've got the spread covered on your stops from where it should be, noting that if you do get stopped, well, they're not actually scamming you, it's just the very fact that it went up there. Okay, that's one part of this. There's a sort of a second part to this, is that my spread widens massively through the evening and into weekends. Now, yes, it does, and there is a reason for this. Often, again, I go back to core spreads is one of the brokers I'm talking about on our site there. They effectively have 3 spreads, so they have a normal spread, a slightly wider spread, and then an in-between spread, which is slightly less. So they have effectively 3 phases of spread, because at 10 o'clock in the evening, the interbank market closes for 5 minutes. Now, brokers do not want to be done in at this stage. They do not want to be taken to the cleaners. So majority of them, wherever their spreads are, they're widened I think just about every broker you'll find that they're widened one way or another at that 10 o'clock. If they're not, well, there'll be a market maker and they'll be absorbing it and hoping that you're not going to be taking them to the cleaner too much. Or you may just find your stops, your positions taking a long time to fill because, well, they just close your market. Effectively, you'll find that none of your buttons work or your account doesn't open because they do not want you trading in that 5 minutes when the markets are effectively closed. So it's a 5-minute time slot, 10 to 10:05, the spreads widen. Now, take that into account. If the spreads are widening, think about your going back to that previous slide there, if you were sitting there on an 8-pip spread on normal times, just think what could happen here and just imagine you're going to get stopped out. So this can happen. I've had it happen on my ultra fine account where it's actually widened to 10 pips over this period, and it's just stopped me out because it just widened that bit too much. It was close to a stop anyway, but it was inevitable it was going to happen, and in fact it would have carried on and happened anyway. Didn't make any difference. However, just be aware it's completely, I say, legitimate. It's not a scam. It's just the very fact, and they should tell you somewhere in their fine print or small print that they 10 o'clock effectively they'll should lay out their terms around that time in terms of exactly what they do, but certainly spreads widen around that time. And I'm saying that time there. Then of course you've got the market close, which, well, when does the market actually close on a Friday evening, and when does it really properly open up? Interbank markets really, you're looking at 10 o'clock in the evening when it really comes back into play properly on a Sunday evening, and it's really the close on the Friday arguably. So, but again, leading up to that time, you can get some funny old price actions and widening. So bear in mind, they don't really want you to be trading over that time. Yes, it will catch some stops out over that time as well. Is it a scam? Not really. It's in a sense, unless it's sort of happening outside of those periods and a lot, which can happen, which when we go on to the next slide, oh, my spread widens around the news. Now, this is why I actually, one of the best American brokers here, I liked the idea of the broker. They are so honest that they provide the data of their order book and everything else. However, I found this years ago, their spreads around any news used to widen at least that much, huge. It's 15 or 20 pip width they went up to, and they do it to protect themselves. They do not want you trading around the news, and again, they put it into their terms and conditions. This obviously the downside of this, and it's not a broker for me because of the very fact that it could be taking my intraday trade stops out. If it's right widening like 20 pips, I've got no chance of doing things on some of these. It could just literally, I could have been 15 pips away from the price, and all of a sudden it would have taken me out. So yes, it does widen around news. Be aware of what your broker's doing, and this is where I think some do scam a little bit more because they take advantage of this volatility or the potential volatility on news, which is not really news. So just watch what your broker's doing. If you're unhappy with them, don't let it keep on happening and moan and moan and moan. Leave them. Brokers are very easy to switch from one to another. Do so if you need to. Okay. This is one of the areas when I'm testing a broker that's going on our list, I'm actually watching the actual number that's actually being hit when I press the button. It's so often I've heard and I've seen, and I know that a broker in the US, a large broker in the US, I've got to be careful when I use their names, but they've been scamming people, have been scamming people for years. Effectively, they on an MT4 platform, they're designed for brokers to use and offer a market to retail traders. And they've got this facility of effectively, one, they can put a lag in, which slows things down, and two, they can add a proportion to that to trade. So effectively, they could say our pips are only 2 pips, and when you hit it, it clicks and it adds a pip. So this spread was actually 3 pips, but you can never see that, but it's their price level. Occasionally you may get hit on the right price, but there are things that you can do there. There is software that you can buy and stick it onto your MT4 if you really suspect your broker's doing it regularly. Most brokers now, I think, would be very dangerous. It would be a dangerous area to put such software on and run it. However, There's some big brokers in the UK, particularly, which are not on our list, and they're not there because they do tend to do this last look process, and they are allowed to, with FCA rules, have a last look at the price. So in other words, if the price is changing very quickly, they can go back and say, well, that price isn't there anymore. Very quickly. Now this happens in milliseconds, but they can and give you a different price, because when you're pressing the button, it's a market price. It's not a limit price. So if you're pressing the button at market, and it always says at market on most brokers, when you're pressing that buy and sell button, it's going through. That broker has the right to look back. Now LMAX, for example, broker I use, it has a no last look policy. So in other words, it will not, if the price is there when you press the button, it's there when you at the end of the day. Now, as I say, the list of brokers that are on our site there, I've tested them live for cash, and they all are honest. I've never, I think I've barely ever, maybe once, seen the price move on one of them when it was through news, and hardly shocked at that. But if you're getting it, again, change your broker. If you see it happen too frequently, always look at what you're actually getting filled at compared to what you press the button. If it's happening too frequently, they're last looking you too much, and to me, it's more of a scam than it should be. Okay, freezing the account. This happens. It will freeze around 10 o'clock at night, most likely. Some of them. Mine refreshes completely. They close and restart. So I know it's going to happen. Around news, volatility can be a difficult thing for brokers to handle. Now, we saw this with the switch situation. Some of those brokers went out of business. Some brokers played all sorts of games not to allow people to do anything with their account until they got it settled themselves. It's yeah. If it happens once, okay. If it's happening regularly, firstly look at your platform. If your platform is actually, and speak to me. If I know of anyone else who's having freezing accounts regularly on that broker, I'll let you know, basically. If you've got an account that's continuously freezing, just check it's not your PC as well. MT4 can be a bit, it's one of the most robust systems, but it can, if you look at the bottom of any open account, you'll see the speed it's actually running at, and you can click in there and make sure you're on the fastest of servers. In fact, I'll just bring one in here. It will show you if I can. There we go. Maybe it won't show you. Is it going to let me show you? Oh, will you stay still? Right, let's bring it right the way in. And down the bottom right hand corner, hopefully you can see this. You can see the speed. Now with some such as this, it's got different speed levels here. It may be that you can rescan the server, get on a slightly different server, but just check what your servers are giving you. Just check that you can actually, the speed of your system, your internet isn't causing the problem as well. If you find it too regularly, try a demo account, a different broker even, and just see if it's still doing it on that as well. And if it is, well, it may be you. It's not your broker, it's you. But if it's happening too often, change your broker. So don't stick with them. One of the questions that this broker's offering me a bonus to join them. It's difficult for brokers to get business these days. To be fair, it costs them a lot of money, and they will rather pay you some money sometimes to give them. I've never really liked it as a reward for joining them. I wouldn't join a broker because it's offering me a bonus. Most of the brokers that do this, they're doing it on the basis that they can afford to do it because they're market makering. So effectively, any losses you make, they're making. So they've got money in the box to do this, and it will help them build their portfolio and make them a bigger broker. So some of them offer it, some of them do short-term bonuses and things like this. It's not a scam. It's because they generally, there's a lot of people who lose money and they'll make the money back there. So not a scam. Okay, finally then, the site, if you want to look at the brokers that I've reviewed in some detail, Best Brokers Online, you can go and look at those brokers. There's a full summary on the site, so you can actually see the brokers that I believe that are amongst the best. You can actually, I'll just bring up the site here. You can literally see the different brokers. Click on the full review of any of those brokers as well. And as I said, you can it's all there. It's got the pros and cons of each of those brokers on the top here, but you can go down, look at them for yourself. The pros and cons according to me, of course, and it depends what you're looking for there, but not every broker suits every person. If you're swing trading, you might want a particular broker. If you're day trading, you may want a different type of broker. There's some that are faster than others in terms of execution, like core spreads, LMAX, very, very fast execution, both of them. To be fair, the execution I've seen across all these brokers, I can't really fault for a moment, but it's the sort of thing that may make a difference over a long period of time. So there you go. They're the brokers. I would, as I say, be interested to hear how you're getting on with your broker. If you're getting stopped and having problems, let me know.